Welcome again, everyone, to Fireline. As you all know, a lot of things have happened since our last edition. Let us begin by reviewing some of our most recent fire activity. On July 3rd, a fire broke out in a rooftop cooling tower on top of the 16-story GTE building at 610 Morgan Street. This is what GTE had to say about the three-alarm fire.
I was on top of the building by the time they got there, and as an eyewitness, I can truthfully say they were very efficient. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a Class A job they did.
A total of 4 alarms were called to fight a fire in the warehouse of Govins Incorporated at 1902 North Florida Avenue on September the 3rd. The building had at one time been a funeral home, and the maze of subdivided rooms and concealed spaces made the firefighting extremely difficult. The hot, humid weather also played a factor in the deployment of manpower. A 3-alarm fire leveled a painting company at 132 North 13th Street on October 18th. The presence of flammable liquids and paints, including at least 5 drums of methyl ethyl ketone, contributed to the intense fire. Firefighters had a brush with a collapsing wall just moments after Tower 1 had repositioned away from the building. Even though the 2-story building was totally destroyed by the fire, the exposures to either side, which shared walls with the burned building, and the exposure to the rear, 20 feet across the railroad spur, received no damage. At the end of August, the summer of hazardous materials training was completed, and Engine 31 became fully operational.
John Bennett. I can't get up here tonight and tell you what's in my heart. I don't have the capacity. I know the commitment of the fire chief. I know my commitment that you beat us. You worked hard 7 weeks. If I had to pick out the one person in here that worked the hardest, I couldn't do it. I know there's times when some of you had to work a little harder just to keep up. You should have seen the faces when they got into the chemistry class. He's run them up. He's gone crazy. This ain't chemistry, this is punishment.
At an incident shortly afterward, Engine 31 assisted the Tampa Police Department bomb squad, which is also a part of the hazardous materials team, remove 4 cans of 20-year-old ether. The ether was taken to the police bomb range and detonated. A large crowd was on hand on the Franklin Street Mall to watch the handling of a simulated chlorine leak and a high-level rescue.
semi trailers, and occasionally they do fall off and create a hazard for us. One of the first things you'll see is the officer in charge of these units making a size up of the situation. He'll dismount from his vehicle and he'll try to attempt to identify exactly what the problem might be. Many times we have to stay several thousand feet away and use binoculars to identify what the product might be. He'll then give his crew some direction as to what type of equipment they're going to use, if we're going to have to evacuate, set up a perimeter area. Most especially, he'll give some direction in establishing a hot zone or an area where we don't want anybody without proper training entering into. The correct identification of this problem is very important to us. We'll use a lot of resource type of materials, manuals, books, call on different types of companies to be able to give us information that might be relative to the situation.
The demonstration was part of Fire Prevention Week activities. The week before Fire Prevention Week is the observance of Emergency Medical Services Week. Another demonstration on the mall dramatized a motor vehicle versus pedestrian accident and an electrocution. Our special thanks to our victims, Carol Cardell and Eric Hull.
As you notice, this bystander has noticed this emergency.
Since our last edition of Fireline, Tampa has changed mayors. In July, Bob Martinez resigned after 7 years in office to campaign for governor, and Sandra Friedman was sworn in as Tampa's new mayor. Fireline asked Mayor Friedman about her plans for the fire department.
Specifically with regard to the fire department, though, we're going to continue to meet the needs of the people working in the department. We've got some citywide programs on assistance for employees, and we're going to continue to do that and provide quality facilities, and update the facilities, and hopefully the equipment as is needed. I think that the morale is up in the department, or so it appears to me. I hope it is, and just keep on doing the good things we're doing and improve upon some of the things we've been a little slack on. I think the city has a great deal of professionalism in every department, but the fire department really has a professional organization, and I'm impressed by it all the time. Unfortunately, I've had to have the use of it once or twice, and so I've seen it firsthand, and we really do a super job and provide a great service. The second thing I want to say is that I hope that in the 8.5 years that I'm here, that all the employees of the city will find me to be fair and accessible and really interested in what they're doing.
Tampa's fireboat, the Francis Bellamy, has been in dry dock for a number of weeks, getting more than just a facelift. In this project, begun by Specifications Officer Captain Tom Littleton and carried on by the newly appointed Specifications Officer Captain Bill Mitchell, the boat has had several hull plates replaced and many wells redone, all of its sea piping replaced, props balanced and repitched, and many other major items. With new equipment added and a new red and white paint job, the boat should be better than new. Captain Littleton has transferred back to the Combat Division and assigned to Engine 1B shift. Fire Chief Austin presented Captain Littleton with a letter of commendation for the work he had done as Specifications Officer.
Recognition for your performance as Departmental Specifications Officer for the period of November 25, 1985 to July 21, 1986. While assigned to this position, you exhibited exemplary management skills. In addition to establishing the position itself, you planned, organized, and directed several major departmental projects that will have far-reaching operational and financial impact. The areas of responsibility that you were directly accountable for included vehicle specifications, construction review and site location and development, and capital expenditure specifications. Because of your efforts, the Tampa Fire Department will soon occupy 2 modern fire stations, has taken delivery of 3 new fire engines, secured the land sites for stations 12 and 20, and is expecting delivery of 2 new aerial ladders and a tractor-trailer phone unit. Thank you for your superior effort for establishing a management standard that will be difficult and challenging to those officers who will follow in the footsteps. Sincerely, thank you very much.
TFD is anticipating taking delivery soon of an amphibious fireboat. Ladder Towers Incorporated takes government surplus Larks and rebuilds them as firefighting vehicles. The boat will have a pump capacity of 3,000 GPM and can travel 25 to 30 miles per hour over ground and 10 to 14 miles per hour in the water. Delivery is expected before the end of the year. LTI is also building 2 100-foot custom aerial ladders for TFD. The trucks will have straight chassis, and delivery is expected before the end of November. A short ceremony on October the 24th honored Chief Day, Chief Santmeyer, Rick White, and Bob Luke. Chief Day was commended for his work in organizing the hazardous materials team.
Letters to serve as an official instrument of commendation for the creation of the role of hazardous materials chief for the Tampa Fire Department. The initiative and motivation that you displayed in the planning and organizing of the first hazardous materials course was exemplary. Because of your leadership and commitment, we conducted an extensive 7-week training course. We established an equipment inventory. We expanded our mutual aid efforts with such agencies as the Environmental Protection Agency and the United States Coast Guard. We received support from private corporations such as Peoples Gas and the Seaboard Systems Railroad. And we developed standing procedures for the handling of toxic waste and hazardous materials. Because of your direct efforts, our hazmat team is already considered by many to be among the best trained in the state of Florida. Again, I commend you for your, and thank you on behalf of the Fire Department for an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Rick White was honored for his work in starting the EMS Skills Lab.
Commended for planning, organizing, estimating cost, and physically constructing the Skills Laboratory. A total of over 620 hours were devoted to the construction, with much of the work being done with your own tools and equipment, not to mention a little bit of his own money. This type of effort is an example of the enthusiasm and leadership that comes from a very dedicated officer. Again, I commend you for your efforts and thank you on behalf of the entire fire department. Sincerely, myself. Thank you very much.
Bob Luke has been promoted to Communications Supervisor.
Let me also take the opportunity to make another special presentation. And this is a letter of commendation, and it's to Communications Supervisor Robert A. Luke, Communications Division, Tampa Fire Department, 2904 Mitchell Street, Tampa, Florida. Subject letter of commendation. Dear Supervisor Luke, you are by this letter officially commended for your meritorious service in the Communications Division for the period beginning 21 September 1985 and ending 1 October 1986. During this period of transition from an all-uniform division to a 50% civilian operation, you displayed great initiative and leadership skills as a principal instructor for the new trainees. The employee turnover rate fell from 71% to 14% due to your efforts, and in addition, you created a workable communication technician evaluation form that allows for more realistic evaluation of an employee's progress. Again, I commend you for your efforts on behalf of the department. You've taken a difficult assignment and helped turn it into a successful accomplishment with the Tampa Fire Department. Sincerely, myself, Francis. And a copy of this will be in here.
Richard Santmeyer was promoted to District Chief and assigned as Chief 4 C Shift, but was on vacation and missed the ceremony. In another ceremony earlier in the month, Captain Frank Hill was assigned as the Rescue Field Supervisor for C Shift. Tampa Fire Department has finally gotten its copy of the film, The Red Badge of Courage, or is it? Tampa Fire Department assisted with a good portion of the film, and it starred our own Captain Dennis Jones as a misguided hero who tries a rescue attempt without his air pack. The film shows firefighters' attitudes, injury and death statistics, and good and safe practices to point out the need to use all the safety equipment available to the firefighter. The film will be aired on Tampa Cable later this month. This concludes another segment of Fireline. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for our next edition.